Yo, what is up, guys? XRP is at $1.09 right now in CoinMarketCap. Our first tweet comes from the Crypto Squire. Senate returns tomorrow. Tomorrow, the US Senate returns to business after the recess. Many in the crypto industry will be watching closely as attention turns back to the long awaited Clarity Act and the next steps in the legislative process. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Remember when US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said 2025 was setting the table, the feast and the banquet will be in 2026. It's happening in 2026. Let's watch this video.
I would categorize 2025. We had some important victories, some important policy announcements, some important movement. But as I've described it, 2025 was setting the table. And especially on the economy, I think the feast and the banquet's going to be in 2026.
Smash that subscribe button and hit that like button if you believe XRP will reach $3 again this year. Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Squire. Forbes ranks XRP number 4. Forbes has ranked XRP as the 4th largest cryptocurrency, another reminder that XRP remains one of the world's leading digital assets. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Justin, Coinbase Vice Chair's thoughts on the chances of the Clarity Act passing. We are on the 1-yard line. The momentum is unmistakable. We are very optimistic about it becoming law. Let's watch this video.
What changes do you expect once the Clarity Act becomes law?
Well, first of all, and I like how you phrased it, Maria, when the Clarity Act becomes law. We're on the 1-yard line. The momentum is unmistakable, and we're very optimistic about it becoming law. The changes we're going to see is with the Clarity Act passing, that's going to trigger not just stability and clarity within the space, but a whole suite of rules and regulations to follow. And the reason that's critical is because institutions and individuals, they embrace regulation. They want that certainty. And so those who may have been on the sidelines or those who may have only dipped their toe in the water, we expect all of that participation to accelerate once you have the regulatory scaffolding that we've long sought in this space.
Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Breaking: BitGo CEO says JPMorgan's crypto stance improves Clarity Act approval chances in Senate. Senate returns July 13th with crucial procedural votes that could shape crypto regulation. Our next tweet comes from Zave Crypto. Blockchain Association CEO thinks Kalshi has it wrong on Clarity. She's 99% sure a Senate vote happens and pegs passage odds around 60%, well above Kalshi's 40%. Her read staff/member bans from prediction markets in June may have broken the wisdom of the crowd pricing. Let's watch this video.
40% on Kalshi, and I'm saying vote-wise, I'm like 99% sure we're going to have a vote. Obviously, a lot of crazy stuff could happen and set that back, but I feel very strongly that we're going to have a vote. As far as passage, I've been at about 60%. Some of that's just gut instinct from years of working in the Senate, being around legislative process, seeing what's happening. The right people are in the room talking about this. So that really does make me feel more confident that we're in the right direction. But whenever people say to me, well, that's not what I'm reading in Polymarket or Kalshi. Well, Congress just about maybe 2 months ago actually banned all of congressional staff from being on prediction markets. So I actually think there might be a correlation here between when Congress said, staff and members can no longer be on prediction markets, and when the prediction markets started to not track what I think is kind of everybody else's opinion in Washington as to where we are with Clarity. So that's another one of those where the prediction markets are great, but there are some things that don't work quite right. And I think they're wrong on this account. I think we're going to have a vote, and I feel like we're going to get there on passage.
Our next tweet comes from Smoke DQG. Verbatim: Swift is being upgraded to Ripple. Listen for yourself. Our next tweet comes from Zave Crypto. Ripple's CEO just explained why XRP exists in under 2 minutes, no jargon. Venmo can't send to PayPal even though PayPal owns Venmo. That's how broken our payment networks are. Now scale that to sending money overseas, slow, expensive, and it can vanish for weeks. Ripple's fix: sell the tech to banks worldwide, 4-second settlement, fractions of a penny, anywhere on Earth. Customers don't care it runs on XRP. They just care that it works. Let's watch this video.
Ripple started was to solve a simple problem, and that is moving money. And today we've all had experience, not too many people write checks, not too many people do those things anymore. If everybody were on Venmo, wow, that would be easy, right? Well, not everybody's on Venmo. There's a whole bunch of different networks. And the way I think about this, because I'm doing a quick survey of the audience, there's some people more my age than my son's age. You know, back when the internet was getting started, you had CompuServe, you had Prodigy, you had AOL. You know, you couldn't send an email from Prodigy to AOL. You could only communicate within a closed network. Our payment networks are the same thing. Venmo is a closed network. Until very recently, you couldn't move money from Venmo to PayPal, and PayPal owns Venmo. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But it's because of how our payment networks are configured. The highest friction is sending money overseas. Now, either from a professional point of view or a personal point of view, if you've ever had the unfortunate need to send money overseas, it is painful, it is expensive, it is slow, and mistakes happen and it gets lost for 2 weeks and you have to go track down. Rarely do you ever lose your money, but it's really frustrating. And what I used to say is, in a world where you literally can stream video from the space station, how can you not move your own money from A to B in a simple, reliable way? Ripple went out to solve that problem, and in our technology, by the way, everything I've said, you'll notice, I didn't say crypto, I didn't say XRP. Like, consumers don't understand how it impacts them, customers, and does anybody here really care if it went through XRP to solve that problem? You don't care. But what you do care about is, was it fast? An XRP transaction is about 4 seconds anywhere in the world. Is it cheap? It's fractions of a penny to move that money.
Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Next week could be big. July 13th, Senate returns for Clarity Act voting. July 15th, DTCC's new tokenization service launch date. July 17th, rare planetary alignment. The stars are aligning, so it begins in 2026. Our next tweet comes from Bank XRP. In physics, pressure builds silently until it finds the smallest crack to escape through. $1.3 billion plus has quietly flowed into XRP ETFs. Exchange supply keeps shrinking. Regulatory clarity is arriving. Where do you think this pressure escapes? First, price, adoption, or both at once? Our next tweet comes from Smoke DQG. Confidential institutional investor presentation. Swift is being upgraded to Ripple. Listen closely. Let's watch this video.
There are many use cases now, very successful investment use cases, and I won't go through these in detail other than to say very briefly that there are good reasons why a lot of value is being captured. So if you look at number one, as I already mentioned, we need infrastructure to allow for the digitalization of finance and commerce, and that's being created by companies with names like Anchorage and Fireblocks and Kraken and so on. And these are digital custodians or wallets or marketplaces, and we're investors in all of those, are ones that we show as examples here. In terms of monies and commodities and assets, the same thing is true. We're taking things like Swift or Visa or MasterCard, and we're upgrading them into digital equivalents, which have names like Ripple or Yellow Card. And we're digitalizing monies like the US dollar into things like Tether and Circle, and we're an investor in Tether and Circle as well. At the commodity level, we can take gold, and you can buy and sell gold physically or through derivatives like ETFs. But we're now tokenizing gold, so you can buy and sell gold over digital wallets and digital infrastructure with things like Pax Gold. So we can do it with traditional commodities. Of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum are new to the world commodities, and we were early investors in them as well. And then you can do it with any other asset. So we can actually take any asset, like the example here, a money market fund from BlackRock. We can tokenize that and make that money market fund called BIDL be available in digital infrastructure anywhere in the world, 24/7. And that's why BlackRock's so excited by the tokenization of other real-world assets.
Our next tweet comes from Bank XRP. Just in, Forbes ranks XRP number 4 among all cryptocurrencies worth investing in, citing strong global finance use cases and institutional partnerships. Market cap $69.21 billion, market dominance 3.51%, trailing only Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB, source Forbes. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Ripple CEO, you have trillions of dollars flowing cross-border globally. It is still largely dominated by the SWIFT network. That technology architecture is developed 50 years ago. There is an opportunity to modernize. XRP, let's watch this video.
Markets like Japan, I think, are still unlocking. The market opportunity here is massive. You have trillions of dollars flowing cross-border globally. It's still largely dominated by the SWIFT network, if you will. And that's architecture, that's a technology architecture that's developed 50 years ago. There's an opportunity to modernize. That takes time, particularly when you have a government in the U.S. kind of combating that innovation. But that's changing now. The Trump effect, if you will, is profound. You're seeing that in asset prices, but you're also going to see that in the adoption of these technologies.
Yeah, and I think, so when you're looking at the growth story then of Ripple, does it still come from overseas, or are you expecting a change in terms of domestic interest in Ripple?
Well, we're definitely already seeing a change in the domestic interest. These 6 weeks after President Trump was elected, we signed more deals in the United States than we had in the previous 6 months. So these are very innovative technologies. I think they're going to play out over 10, even 20 years in terms of how they integrate and rewire the financial infrastructure of the United States. That's across payments. That's across even the settlement of maybe real estate transactions, securities transactions. So I think we're going to see this play out over a long arc. But the United States is finally unlocked, and I think people are underestimating how big that change is, and you'll see that continue to play out this year.
Yeah.
Real quick, if this helped, press the like button. It tells YouTube to show this to people who want the truth, not hype. And press the subscribe button if you're done being sold the moon. I've already got your next one right here. Go.